political agenda, but they want to make it sound like a religious agenda. Sound familiar? Of course, this would never happen in the Muslim Ummah. Nobody would ever try to take their political position by saying that it has something to do with the path of Allah. You know? And so the Israelites try to manipulate this prophet and say, come with us. We shall fight in the path of Allah. I need to take pause here. The possibility that's mentioned here is something the Prophet ﷺ told us. Listen to this carefully now. عُلَمَاءُ أُمَّتِي كَأَنْبِيَاءِ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. The scholars of my ummah are like prophets of the Israelites. Scholars of my ummah are like prophets of who? The Israelites. So if the Israelite prophets, there was attempt to manipulate them for political purposes, what's going to happen to the scholars of this ummah? There will be attempt to manipulate scholars of this ummah for what? Political purposes. Now the thing about scholars or prophets is these are people of God. They worship, they pray, they learn the deen, they teach the deen, they sit in the masjid, they make dua, they do dhikr. Do they understand the ins and outs of outside politics? No. So when someone comes to them and says, we want to do this for the sake of Allah, what's possible? They might just gullibly say, yes, for the sake of Allah, of course. You should. Are they political scientists? Are they watching the news all day? Do they understand the corruptions of these politicians and what they do behind the scenes? No. Prophets, by the way, by definition, usually give benefit of the doubt. You know, they give benefit of the doubt under even the most obvious of cases. The most obvious of cases. So it's easy to take advantage of them. And what will happen? Somebody will come and say to a scholar today, what do you think we should do if someone corrupt does this, this and this? Well, then they should be stopped according to the deen of Allah. Now they've said something in general, and now it's being used to, maybe even attack a civilian population or wreak all kinds of havoc. That poor scholar just said something in general, but it's taken as a political endorsement of some evil campaign or regime. Does that happen in the Ummah today? Absolutely. Absolutely. The Prophet ﷺ was being given a glimpse of what is coming in the future. They come to this prophet and they say, give us a king. We'll fight in Allah's path. This prophet, though, is a genius. He's been around. And he's been around the Israelites. So he knows a thing or two. His immediate response is not, Na'am, yes, let me pray, okay, you, or you. No. By the way, they didn't say, ask Allah to appoint. They said, you appoint. Does he appoint or does Allah appoint? Allah appoints, and Allah already appointed him. But no, we just need to make it look like you endorsed so that we can impress the population. They just want to use him. They just want to use him. I can tell you something. I'm not a scholar, but I'm somewhat politically aware, and I do get invitations from politicians. And they don't have any interest in hearing anything I have to say, but they'd love to take a picture. Why? Religious endorsement. That's all it is. It's just that's all it is. You have to be careful who you sit with and don't sit with. Who you're interested in taking a picture with and not taking a picture, because you don't know what their agendas are. Politicians are sneaky people. They're sneaky people. But this prophet is a genius. Alayhi salam. He turns around and says, قَالَ هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ إِن كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمْ الْقِتَالِ أَلَّا تُقَاتِلُوا. Isn't it quite a high possibility for you people in particular that if fighting was in fact mandated on you, if Allah did reveal fighting, because you want to fight in Allah's path, if Allah revealed that you must fight, isn't it a high possibility that you people aren't going to fight? You're probably going to send our sons and our young sons to go fight. You politicians will give speeches about fighting. You're not going to go fight yourselves. You're going to be okay with everybody else going to fight. You're going to be talking about waging war and saving the nation and going in the path of Allah. You won't ever pick up a sword. Isn't that the case? I mean, have you ever done so before? He called them out immediately. The hypocrisy of the politician who wants to go to war and never wants to pick up the sword himself. قَالَ هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ إِن كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالِ أَلَّا تُقَاتِلُوا. Another perspective you might gain from this is that Samuel, in fact, did lead them in battle before, according to the Bible. So he knows what they're like. So when these politicians come to him, he's got a track record of them. You people, seriously, in the path of Allah, please, save it. هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ إِن كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالِ أَلَّا تُقَاتِلُوا. They turn around and say, قَالُوا وَمَا لَنَا أَلَّا نُقَاتِلَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. What would have to be wrong with us? We wouldn't fight in Allah's path. وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا مِنْ دِيَارِنَا وَأَبْنَائِنَا. We have been taken out of our homes. We have lost so much territory. And we've lost so much of our children. We will be the first to fight in the path of Allah. We are ready to fight. What are you talking about? They get outraged. فَلَمَّا, and Allah fast forwards, by the way, He pauses this scene. There's more that happens to this scene, but Allah likes to give us the picture that's coming way many scenes ahead. Then He's going to give us the in-between later. So He says, فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالِ. When fighting was finally mandated on them, they didn't ask for fighting, they asked for a king. But Allah says, you wanted a king for what purpose? To fight in Allah's path? Fine, I'll give you fighting as an obligation first. Let's see what you do with that. Because your motivation was to please Allah, right? Your king was just a means to an end. Let's get to the end. Let's get to the fighting. So when fighting itself was mandated on them, تَوَلَّوْا, they turned their backs. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْهُمْ, except very few among them. Now, they turned their backs except very few. 72 of them, maybe the majority of them, all of them turned their backs, but a few of them did join the military. But Allah ends the ayah in a very peculiar way. He says, وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah is well aware, Allah is fully knowledgeable of those who do wrong. The thing is, those who turned away, everybody knows about them. Those who turned away is not a secret. But the ones who joined the army may have also joined because they're like, if I don't join, my career in politics is over. So they could have joined the army for the wrong reason. And Allah says, even the ones who joined, Allah knows who the wrongdoers are even among them. Because everybody else Allah knows anyway. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. Allah knows even the ones who joined for dubious reasons. It's amazing that in this one little ayah, Allah has given us a glimpse into how religion will be manipulated by politicians within the ummah of Islam. Not from the outside, from the inside. These are Israelites talking to Israelites. These are Israelites, which is the Muslims of that time, talking to their own prophet, which is going to be in our time, politicians dealing and manipulating our own what? Scholars. Our own scholars. One of the biggest takeaways from this is that our ulama need to be like Samuel. Our ulama need to be like Samuel. What does that mean? They don't just, it's important they understand Quran, Sunnah, Hadith, Fiqh, Tariq. They understand these subjects. What is equally important? They understand world politics. They understand the games that are being played. That they are astute and they're aware and they're not gullible. It's very, as I close this first session, I want to share something with you that's to me of utmost importance. A specialist in an Islamic science is not necessarily a specialist in politics or political science or psychology or sociology or anything else. These are all specialized fields. Me personally, I'm not a specialist, but I'm a student of the Quran. I'm trying to study the Quran as best I can. I personally have a lot of political opinions. Personally. I have my own political opinions. I have my own sports opinions. I have my own color preferences. I have a personal set of preferences, including my own political opinions. If you ask me about what's going on in the elections nowadays, I have my opinion just like you have yours. But a lot of people around the world see me as someone who speaks about what? About the Quran. So if I express my political opinion, the immediate assumption is my political opinion must have been inspired by my study of the Quran. Is that the case though? Yes. No, it is not the case. Yes, really. My favorite color was not inspired by the Quran. My favorite sport is not inspired by the Quran. My thoughts about one thing, what's happening in my city, or politics, something that's outside of the realm of the Book of Allah. Something that's happening in, I didn't study an ayah to think about Donald Trump. I didn't. I have my own opinions of what's going on based on other things in my life. Now those opinions are basically, I'm about as qualified to have a political opinion as anybody else. Just a general opinion. But because I'm in a religious position, my opinion might get confused, if I speak it, might get in the minds of people, might be the same as what? A religious opinion. This might be, he said this because he studied Surah Baqara and as a result, he's voting this way. Or he's doing, wait. I'm not qualified. And actually, I need to understand my place is not to use the platform that is to be used for this purpose, to use it to express any of my personal preferences that have nothing to do with this space. Especially if my information about the news is coming from the same channels as everybody else. I have no more in-depth information about politics or what's going on inside these inner circles than the general audiences. Then my understanding of it is as superficial as everybody else's. Somebody who's on the inside, who is inside one of these meetings, who understands the politics of these lands or these situations from a different, much deeper point of view, is qualified to speak. Why is Samuel so qualified, alayhi salam? Because he's in a military political position and a prophet. You may not have one person be able to do all of those things. So at the very least, what do we need now? We need people that are politically, economically, media-wise very savvy, very, very well aware, to be able to have insightful, open conversation with scholars that are spending their life. If they had 30 hours in a day, 48 hours in a day, they'd spend all of those studying tafsir and sharh of hadith and fiqh and tafsir. They don't have time for the BBC. They don't have time. But at least if these two worlds start coming together, it's much, much harder to take advantage of a scholar. And to me personally, it's a matter of personal responsibility. From a religious point of view, one should not be talking about one's political opinions if that's not their area. It's just immature. As a matter of fact, about any other area, like if I gave medical advice, it's just as irresponsible. You know, if I start giving you advice about what medicine you should be taking, or how you need to be taking care, I'm not qualified. That's not my space. I could kill you. And you might think, I need to do this because he said he studied the Quran and there's probably an ayah about this Tylenol overdose. I don't know, like, that's death. That is death. Do you realize that people are so passionate about religious leadership that there are, and the Ummah has seen this, there are people that will give a khutbah. They'll go up on the minbar and they will give a khutbah. And as a result of their khutbah, there will be a riot. People will die because a khutbah was given, and the way it was given, and the way emotions were inflamed in that khutbah. Has it happened? This person who spoke, who thinks they just spoke Quran and Sunnah, has blood on their hands. Because they didn't realize the power, the amount of emotional and psychological trust common people have given this person to speak on this issue. And no matter how much you say, I'm not qualified, I'm not qualified, I'm not qualified, there is a level of trust. When you learn the deen of Allah with someone, there's a level of trust, love, and loyalty that's built. And so you weigh everything they say very heavily. This is a very heavy responsibility. And that's why this prophet is not quick to do anything. First he says, excuse me, I'm not going to be taken for a political ride. I'm not saying anything. I'm staying out of this appointment business as you want it. I'm going to wait for Allah to give revelation. I'm going to wait for that. And so with that, inshallah ta'ala, I give you your first break. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Exactly 5 minutes.